All right, welcome back to the County Gamers. My name is Aaron.
My name is Chris.
And today we are going into the fandom of the archives. And we've come up with our opening question of the day for this podcast, which is, what is your favorite Star Wars and or Star Trek character, and why? I will go first, and it's an interesting choice.
Interesting.
It's William Riker. Commander Riker from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yep.
And the reason is because his character has such a cool arc through the series.
Yep.
He starts at Encounter at Farpoint as this green newfound commander where Jean-Luc Picard is like really hard on him and is like, you got to prove yourself, man. Like, can you do the saucer separation on your own, man? And he really starts to push Riker's buttons. But then as Riker continues to grow through the rest of the series, he gets better at what he is, but he still has that kind of like, let's get the hell out of here kind of attitude, like, hey, I'm scrappy. And then in the movies, he continues to evolve. And now, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, in Picard Season 3, Riker is really shining. And it's impressive that both the writers and the actor have got it right.
And it's rare.
And it's beautiful to watch because it doesn't, every movement, every moment is not a betrayal of the character. It's like, okay, yeah, that line or that dialogue makes sense. Like, that checks out. I'm not having to I don't know about that. I need to go check that or whatever. It's like, yeah, nope, that checks out.
Cool.
Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the reason why is the portrayal by Alec Guinness is his portrayal by Alec Guinness is legit. Alec Guinness was a classically trained Shakespearean stage actor. Yep. He was one of the old school guys. He had been making movies and plays, and he had been in the business for a long time. Yep. He was one of those old granddaddies of drama that you were just like, we got Alec Guinness. Like, this is legit.
Lucky.
We're lucky we got this dude.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that I think he passed away after Return of the Jedi, or he had passed away after. Yeah, shortly after that he passed. So we have that. But what I like about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now we're not going to talk about the prequels because that's a whole other issue. But we can actually a little bit. So why I like Kenobi is because Ewan McGregor portrays him so well.
Oh, it's so
because
good.
Ewan McGregor studied Alec Guinness's portrayal. And not only that, he studied Alec Guinness, the actor. He went and watched other movies by him. He went and did the research and looked at his mannerisms. And so his portrayal, and they said, okay, what would a younger version of this look like? I need to think that through. I need to work through that portrayal. What I really like is the TV series Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan. It is
so good.
It's real. I mean, there are a couple of holes here and there. I'm just like, okay, that doesn't work. Okay, this is a squeaky wheel. Yep. But for the most part, it is just Ewan McGregor breathing Alec Guinness and his own into that role.
Oh, yeah.
And you just sit back and go, all right, buddy, you got this. This is legit. It's a very interesting kind of take because it does play with canon.
It does,
because of how they have that Vader and him have an interaction.
Yep.
Several interactions, actually. There has been talk of having a season 2, which, again, that's going to mess with things a little bit because he can't have another go with Vader because he's already had that.
Already had it.
And so there's talk about what that's going to look like. How is that going to be? I will freely admit I am on fanboy status with this. I would love to have me a season 2 of Obi-Wan. No questions asked. Give it to me. I'll take it. I will swallow that sugar, and I won't even protest. I won't try and fake it.
Get diabetes.
No, I won't get diabetes. It'll be full on.
Yep.
But it's just like that. That is my jam, and I love that line of storytelling. There are a couple of moments, especially with Leia and how her character gets captured and things that happen to her. It does feel a little forced at times.
It does.
But again, no story's perfect, so you always have to be critical and be mindful of that.
Yep.
But it's a lot of fun. So I would say Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars and William Riker from Star Trek. Now that I've given you time to think, is it an and or is it an or?
It's and.
Okay, so what's your first?
So from Star Trek,
okay,
I would say Leonard Nimoy.
So Spock.
Yeah. Without question.
Yeah.
The guy, he has this intelligence about him that supersedes anybody else. You can tell he's like got this wisdom way beyond his years, and he's just phenomenally intelligent when he speaks.
Yeah.
But he's kind at the same time.
Yeah.
Because he has the what do you call it? The alien part of him.
Oh, the Vulcan.
The Vulcan.
Yeah.
He has the Vulcan part of him plus the human side of him that both coincide and go together with each other. So that's the part I like about him.
I think what we know of Leonard Nimoy is that he inhabited that role. It became, and so what's interesting is a lot of, like, you look at a lot of the recent Star Trek stuff, like the new Star Trek movies and stuff. Those actors they stayed through like a 3-movie arc.
Yeah.
But they didn't stay through a TV series. They didn't
years.
They didn't do what like the TNG crew and the original series crew did, and the Voyager and the DS9 crew did. They've produced limited. I mean, up until like Discovery is ending after season 5. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Not my favorite show.
Not gonna miss that one.
No. And some people will love it, and I'm if you do love it, don't be like, oh, what do you? I'm like, you can enjoy it. You can hold it, treasure it, hug it, and love it and enjoy it. I would rather see it go the way of whatever, the dinosaurs, because it's just not. They tried so much and they did a lot, and it didn't feel like a Star Trek kind of show with a bunch of characters in play. It was always about one person or something. Anyway, so. But those actors on the TNG and the Voyager and DS9 and like those actors stayed in those roles for years. Yeah. And the TOS, the original series crew, when they went into the motion pictures, they did all of those movies. They stayed as those characters. Yeah. And the reason I think part of it is because, like you said, Nimoy, he was Spock.
He is
now
Spock
Zachary Quinto. He kind of got it.
He did.
The other guy who was doing it on Strange New Worlds.
Yep.
Ethan Peck, I think is his name.
Yeah, Ethan Peck. Yep.
He's doing really well. I was very impressed. And I think the reason why Spock is why those actors have really hewn so close to his original portrayal and making sure they're doing it right is because you can't, if you mess up Spock, the rest of it falls apart.
Oh my goodness!
You can't. That he is such a foundational piece of Star Trek.
He's a foundational piece. There you go.
He is. He is Spock. He was the logical, and he had that human side, like you said. He struggled with the human and the Vulcan because he was half, and so there was that consistent worry of like, okay, where is Spock going to land on this? How is Spock going to respond? And at times it was a point of like, they would clash because of his logical side, and Bones McCoy was always like that green-blooded hobgoblin. He was all those two characters never got along, or they did, but they were just kind of like frenemies. So, but that's the richness of Spock.
That's what I love
about such amazing portrayal that they've really done a good job of making sure that character remains as close to Nimoy's original interpretation as possible.
Love Leonard Nimoy,
and just the understated moments with when Spock would his look and how Nimoy would have him look and then react and emote.
Was beautiful.
Yeah. It's like
beautiful.
You can sense so much from how Nimoy portrayed it. And there were times in the early series that Nimoy wanted to kill Spock. He was done with the character. He was like, I've done everything. I can't do this. And I don't remember the exact storyline, but they did, obviously, and spoiler alert, like 40 years later, they kill him in Wrath of Khan. Yep. There's that touching scene between Kirk and Spock in the dilithium chamber with the barrier where they can't touch each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just that moment.
It was a sad moment.
It was. And then they sent him into the Genesis planet, and they figured out how to bring him back. And I think that continual character arc, he was an incredible character. Yeah. So I couldn't say more about Leonard Nimoy, but I also want to make sure that we get to your other one, which I'm very now curious about.
So the other one, it's a hard one because I like Obi-Wan. Yeah. But I think for me it's Anakin because.
Really? Okay.
I have reasons. So
please explain, because I'm very curious.
I love Obi-Wan. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, and I love Ewan. Oh my goodness, I love Ewan
McGregor is he's a boss.
He rides really motorcycles too.
Yes, he does. Have you watched the two? There's two shows: The Long Way Down, The Long Way Around.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them now.
I watched all of them.
I have watched The Long Way Around and The Long Way Down, and it's amazing. It's him and his brother. And just
no, it's Charlie Boorman.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And their relationship is so fascinating.
They're like best friends.
Yeah, and it's just cool to watch them explore.
It's very good.
But yeah, okay. So there's now 3. I'll have to find what the third one is.
Yeah. Okay, so I like Obi-Wan, but Anakin is unique to me because he reminds me of the human struggle.
Okay.
where we have good in us,
Yeah.
but there's also this darkness in us too,
Okay.
where we struggle to do the right thing sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes the right thing is cloudy.
Oh, okay.
At least in my life, it has
Right.
been. Like, I mean, I can remember back with my brother and stuff, all the things that I saw him struggle with.
Yeah.
But there was a good part of him too,
Yeah.
and that's what reminded me of Vader, because Vader was the bad part. He was lied to.
Yeah.
If you remember, he was lied to.
Yeah.
The Emperor's like, "Oh, well, you can do this," and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yes, master.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
master.
I'll bring my wife back to life. I'll
Yeah.
do all these things. And
That's what caused it. The fear of losing someone.
Yeah.
And you remember, little old Yoda,
Yeah.
the little old green dude. He said, "Be careful of your feelings,
yeah.
Anakin.
Yeah. They will betray you.
They will betray you."
Yeah.
And so that's where I think I like Anakin, because he struggled, but in the end, he did the right thing.
Well, and I think so. The prequel does it clumsily. The prequel does that, like lays that out like it's like a dump truck in a china shop.
It is a dump truck in China.
It is so awkward how they portray that story and kind of just unfold it. Because I just sit there and I go, why would you? Is that how you chose to do this moment?
Yeah.
So you have to then, like you said, revert back to what you kind of you chart that course for the character in your own head of like, okay, this is what I know what happened on screen, but I also am able to kind of fill in some fan canon, if you want, if you will, to the pieces. But what's really cool is that they built that in Return of the Jedi at the end when Luke is like, and I still think about this every so often. Luke is dragging his father to the shuttle.
Think about it.
He is and the Death Star is falling apart around him. People are running. No one is looking at Vader right now.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're just trying to. They no longer have any allegiance to him. They are just trying to save their lives. And
they feared him.
They feared him, but now they fear what's coming.
Death.
They fear death, and so he's dragging him. And I just that moment is really cool, and I love how it just kind of. You realize that Luke is so desperate to save his father.
He is.
Before he dies, before he like he's just so that fathership that father connection that he shares.
That was beautiful, man.
And I love that word you used. You used it earlier when you were talking about something else.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and I love when you can look at something on screen or in a book and you can just say that's beautiful. That's
a work of art,
because everything
man.
comes together, right? The dialogue, the music, the scene, the how they shot it, how they constructed it, how they edited it,
the lighting,
the light, like everything. Just you're like, this is beautiful. Those colors, my goodness, this is incredible. And you just kind of go, that's what filmmaking. That's how you tell a story.
Let's everybody do that more.
Yeah, please do, because we need a lot of it.
Yeah, we do.
So but you're right. In that moment when he takes off the mask, he says, "Remove my mask." He's like, "But you'll die." He's like, "I'm dead already," or whatever he says. And so Luke, and it's slow. It's deliberate. You're sitting either in the theater when you were watching it originally on the screen, or you're in your home studio. And you're seeing this, and you're going, "We're going to see Vader's face for the first time." We've seen hints of it in the original trilogy, right?
You did.
We did, but we didn't see it full. We didn't see the actual whole thing. And so, as the mask comes off, it's ugly. It's horrifying.
It's horrible.
But the eyes is where the magic happens, because he looks at his son for the first time. He says, "I wanted to see my son. Tell your sister she was right. Tell your sister she was right." And it's just that moment of like. Yes, like you don't have to have snappy dialogue like Marvel does.
Nope.
You don't have to have this long drawn out melodramatic.
Nope.
It's just this simple moment between, and again, yes, it's imaginary, it's fake, and it's all written down on a script, but you suspend your disbelief and you really genuinely believe you are watching a father and a son moment where the father has come to the good side of the Force and is saying, you saved me. I am whole again. And so your point about Anakin's journey is, again, they handle it so clumsily, but he comes from a dark place, and he's done some terrible, terrible things. What the original trilogy does is it gives us a true redemption arc for Vader.
It does.
It doesn't, and yes, the new trilogy that they made. There's so many trilogies. Now,
which one?
The prequel. Let's go prequel. So the prequel tries to kind of do a Cruella de Vil Maleficent kind of deal where they're like, oh, they're terrible people, but that's the reason why they're terrible. They don't do it as badly as Maleficent and Cruella did, but they attempt to it. Thankfully, it fails because we all know he's a terrible human being, and he makes his decisions. He was influenced by the Emperor, yes.
He was.
But he was the one making those decisions. He chose the anger. He chose the darkness.
He did.
But I like that it leans into that, right? So that we know Darth Vader, the reason why everyone fears him and is terrified of him is his power, is his anger, is his rage. Like, we get that. So then when we pick up with, A New Hope, we understand, we see Vader. This guy's bad. He has killed children, like the younglings. Like, there is that scene to this day is like, good grief, that's heartbreaking.
I can't even imagine, man.
But it's like, it helps you understand in story, so that when you get to Return of the Jedi and you've gone through A New Hope, you've gone through Empire Strikes Back, and you're at that moment where Vader is watching his son getting electrocuted by the Force lightning from the Emperor, and you see Vader go looking one way, looking the other, and I love how he does it like 3 or 4 times. It doesn't just like look, okay, go.
It's like a war inside of him.
He's fighting that rage. He's fighting that he's spent the better part of his life being in service to the Emperor and in service to the dark side, and he's back and forth. And then he realizes, okay, I need to stop this. I need to save my son. And he picks up a surprised Emperor who's like, what? Picks him up and just shoo. And I think people sometimes make fun of that scene, but it's like, no, Vader had power.
He had a lot of power.
Vader was a powerful dude.
He was.
And I do like that moment. So then, the Emperor is like lightning him as he's going down. So like Vader is still suffering, and as a last act, I think kind of the last bit of lightning from the Emperor puts him in a place that he doesn't. He's already dying, but it makes it even worse. Yeah. So it's just that moment of like, wow, this is great story. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking, beautiful. And it is tense, and it pulls at your heart, but the beauty of that moment, of that emotion, is that you feel and you understand, and you're like, get him out of there, Anakin, or get him out of there, Luke, get him out, get him back. Don't blow up at the Death Star. You're kind of like chanting in your head, and that's when you know a story is good.
It like envelops you.
Yeah, it takes over.
It takes you in.
You are in. There is no disbelief. You are fully entrenched. I am in the Star Wars universe. This is happening. This is real, and I feel it. A lot of we can talk about this after we do our intro music, but yeah, there's some good Star Wars still out there. Andor is really good if you haven't watched that yet.
I haven't. No.
I did The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. I've heard season 3 is stumbling. We can talk about that a little bit later. Couldn't get into Boba Fett. Couldn't do it for whatever reason.
I didn't like that one.
I don't know what was going on there. But
I couldn't even get into The Mandalorian for some reason.
Really? It gets better. I think the first couple of episodes of season 1 at least are a little bit of a slog, but once it starts to really kind of move. We'll talk more. We got some more stuff to talk about. We went long on our intro.
Holy crap.
We went 17 minutes in.
Let's go. That was
you're getting our intro music 17 minutes in. All right, we'll be right back here on the Gamers Podcast. This is the County Gamers. That's what we call ourselves. We'll be right back. We're going to talk some TV. We're going to talk some games, but mostly just kind of talking about the beauty of story and why it matters. We've talked about it before, so more to come here on the County Gamers. We'll be right back after this. So we're back here. My name is Aaron.
My name is Chris.
And you're trying your Batman thing again?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. I'm Batman.
ASMR.
No. Quit trying to make fetch happen.
We've talked about that.
Trying to make fetch. Don't stop trying to make fetch happen. Interesting story. So, okay, an interesting aside. So we watched, me and my wife last night watched The Princess Diaries and The Princess Diaries 2.
Pretty good.
The first one is really good. The first one is just a picture-perfect movie. Yep. The second one is the zaniest little thing because it has moments where you try to take it seriously, and then there's moments where like the servants in the house are like brushing the teeth of the lions outside the house and then flossing them, and it's only like a 5 to 7 second clip of these things, but there's these moments of just like, what is happening right now? What are you doing? And so it's this kind of like, we laugh so hard. We're like, this movie, what is happening? But it's funny. It's not like groan out loud, like cringe. It's just like, you just had to have a little moment in there. Yeah. And it's very dated because of course the high school and the college world that they set themselves up in are very stereotypical, and they're very mean and they're very rude. And they're
like Mean Girls.
Yeah, like Mean Girls. It has that Mean Girl element to it. But Julie Andrews is legit in both. Julie Andrews is good. Yep. She's amazing. And Anne Hathaway, obviously, that was one of her big breakout roles, where she became just like legit in a lot of people's eyes. Which she is. She's an amazing actress. She has an incredible library of films that she's made that are impressive. Okay, so shall we shift over into Lockwood and Co?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Lockwood and Co. And Chris was like, before we got on the record, before we started recording in English, Chris I was talking about Lockwood and Co. and he's like, what did I say? It was beautiful, or I said something about like it was masterful.
Masterful.
I said it was masterful.
That's rare.
Chris was like, he held up his hand and said, whoa. You mean you just said masterful? And I was like, I meant it. So Lockwood and Co. is on Netflix. It's a recent addition, and the idea behind Lockwood and Co., and I kind of explained it to Chris, is it's the ghosts are real, but only the young, like teens, young children and teens up to like 16, 17, or 18-ish, basically 17, are able to see them and actually have an effect on them.
Yep.
And it's the world at some point, the world split. So it became the ghosting situation happened, and then it just became a part of the and so it kind of takes a steampunk, but also like a ghost busting kind of an alternate universe for our world. The normal rules exist. There's cars, there's things. It's pretty normal. But it takes the bent of ghosts are real, and only kids can be Ghostbusters, and there is a lot of risks. It is, but they don't shy away from the fact that they're like these kids can die fighting these ghosts because they're kids and they're teens, and so they're trained. But there's risk. It's not just like everyone wins and nobody dies. So there is some significant part of that. Again, is kind of a heads up as you navigate that show, where there are some deaths that happen. With some of the younger and teenage crews that they run around with early on, it's masterfully written because it. I was talking about this earlier. Some shows, what they do, Resident Evil was the biggest offender recently, where they'll take a flashback and they'll try to tell the story, two stories at once. They'll try and tell the past story and the current story at the same time. And and I feel like they think they can do it. Like everyone else has done this. We can do it. It's like,
but everybody else failed.
Yeah, not everybody can do this, and not everybody should. So maybe stop and only do like with one show. And so I was watching the first episode, and they did a little bit of flashback, and I was like, don't you dare, show, don't you dare. And they didn't. They used it as like context,
which is what it should be used for,
right? But it never happens again. We never get a flashback really.
That's good.
We get a little ish in throughout, sprinkled throughout, but it's not like significant. Like, oh my gosh, we're telling two stories at once. It's just the way that story evolves, and the universe makes sense. The rules make sense. Everything connects. And so when I said it was masterful, that used to be that shows were just like this. That shows just made sense. That there was good television and good shows and good writers and everything. But yes, it is the exception that I would call a show masterful because it's just so good. And it tells the story, and each character has a base and has a foundation to build on, and they all have arcs. They all go through something. They all experience something. You feel something as the characters grow and as they interact with others around them.
That's the most
you feel that. And so I mentioned this earlier that I tweeted about this a couple times, and it's the most activity I've seen on Twitter ever with anything. Like I tweeted out once one tweet about Lockwood and Co, and I got that tweet saw a lot of action. It was like getting retweeted, saved, replied. Like the final statistics was jaw-dropping. I was like, how in the world? But they were so nice in replies. Like the fans were like, oh my gosh, yeah, best show ever. Yeah, great. We love the show. Thanks for watching. Yeah, keep watching. Yeah, spread the word. And so then I sent out another tweet with a screenshot of that tweet that I sent, and then I just had I was like, this is a really cool experience. Like I had a great and warm Twitter experience with a bunch of Lockwood and Co fans, and that one got more action and got more retweets and more love because it's like the show speaks to people. Like it speaks
That's crazy.
It speaks to folks who may not be in them, and it's weird because me and James on the other podcast we talked about this. Is like nerddom is mainstream, but Lockwood and Co leans heavily into kind of more of the like weird nerds, and not to say that the weird nerds are wrong, but it's just like that label that you're weird and you're awkward
because you find something extraordinarily interesting.
Yeah, well, and the thing about with Lockwood and Co is the agency that is formed is a misfit agency. It's not an agency that's well respected. It's not an agency that anyone really knows about. It's a 2-person agency, and they've picked up Lucy, and she's going to be a part of the agency, and they have to prove themselves, and nothing really goes well for them throughout the whole experience. And so it's done in a way that it definitely speaks to the people who are like, yeah, we're not all that important. People don't know who we are. And I think that really speaks because people engage with it. They're like, yeah, man, I feel like that. I feel like nobody sees me. I feel like I'm not seen or heard or appreciated for what I do or my stuff isn't cool enough. Because, all the other agencies in the London area look down on this. They don't even like Lockwood and Co. Y'all are a bunch of you idiots. Whatever. We don't. You're terrible. You're not premier. You don't win cases. You're weird. Like all the things that you would associate.
Oh yeah.
They're not. I mean, it's pretty mean, but it's not like vindictive mean.
Yep.
Ish. But it's just. It really speaks to people as like they're like that's me. I identify with those. I identify with each of those characters, and the portrayal of how the actors take the lines that they're given and the script they're given.
Yeah. Run with that's the best part.
It's masterful, and I will use that word repeatedly with this series. So if you're listening and you're looking for a show to watch, it's on Netflix. It's called Lockwood and Co. It is, and then I'm fairly certain we got to get a season 2 out of this because they do kind of open up the next piece of the storyline at the end of that with the season finale. The next piece of the mystery is about to be unfolded, and then it goes to black. And it's not like but it's like, okay, naturally you're expecting
something more.
The next season we would begin to build on already the foundation that we've put together, and we've probably put up a couple walls as well. We just need to start putting in some studs and whatever in our metaphorical house of show. It's just
masterful.
It's good.
I've never heard you use masterful.
It's really good. Like I don't say that about a lot of shows.
You don't, no.
Because they're not well done, or they're just disappointing, or they're, like there's a laugh track that just is really not funny. And you're just like, why am I watching this? Like I'm not entertained. The laugh track is going to make me laugh, but I'm not actually laughing at the jokes. There is some cool humor in the show, Lockwood and Co. It's a drama and it's action, but there's also some like nice little humorous moments in there where you're just kind of like, oh, I didn't expect that. That gives me a chuckle. I appreciate that. So there's a balance in how they balance it. It's just
so important.
Masterful balance. This is like stuff you would read on like a New York Times bestseller comment list of like from the jacket of the book. Be like masterful, balanced, incredibly well researched, well written,
creative.
Yeah, creative. A gem among the dust. That's Lockwood and Co. Lockwood and Co. is just that good. It is worthy of your time. My original tweet said it is worthy of your time and attention, and that sense has not changed.
Man, that's crazy.
It is still worthy of your time. It is still worth. It's good stuff.
That's crazy.
Okay, so now to rotate over to you.
Yep.
And a little bit of me. So you had said you were starting to watch The Big Bang Theory.
Yes,
which is another really good show. It's been around. It recently came to an end last year, the year before.
2019, I think it was.
And now they're running. And now the show Young Sheldon is going, the prequel. And not a fan, I guess.
I hadn't watched it, and I'm pretty sure I probably don't want to.
Okay, give it a try.
I'll give it a try.
I've heard good things, but I also am always wary of like shows that try to kind of go into the backstory and stuff like that. Okay, so talk to us about, because you started watching it, and then I'll talk about us.
So that me and my wife decided one day, I said, baby, we're going to, you want to watch The Big Bang Theory? She's like, what's that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, my dad really liked it. So if my dad liked it, it's not trash, at least. So we decided, we started off watching it and got into the season. I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah.
This is masterfully done, man.
Yeah.
The writing is crazy good. The humor is like probably the timing, the comedic timing is some of the best I've ever seen. Yeah. I don't say that lightly. I'm like you. If I say it's that good, it's probably that good.
Well, it reminds me of Cheers.
It does.
Reminds me of like you know the line's coming,
but you
don't know what it is, and you're just like, okay, what are they gonna do here? What are they gonna do here? And it's like it hits, it punches, and then it pulls right back, and then you're on to the next thing.
It's like a mic drop every darn time. Yeah. I don't understand.
And they're not cheap drops. They're
good.
Like legit. Like there's a payoff.
Yeah.
It's like you build it's like there's the running joke, and there's all kinds of different kinds of jokes in television, but like they build the joke. It's built into every scene. So every scene, either it's a longer joke that's been going on for the whole show, or it's in that scene. They don't just try and land the joke cheap. They don't try and go quickly to get to that joke. Okay, what's the quickest way we can make this joke? They're gonna work for it. They're gonna work the characters and the actors in the script to get there. Really and it's so funny because we were watching it because we started watching it this week as well. And we just found it. I think we found it on Paramount or wherever it's CBS or whatever it is. And we were just like, this is real. Like, we were laughing. There is a laugh track. I don't think it's filmed before a live studio audience.
I don't think so either.
I think there's a little bit of a laugh track involved. But the laugh track here actually works. Like, it's actually like, that's a point that I would laugh at. And that's actually genuinely funny. And it's nice because it builds. So we meet Penny. We meet all the characters. and
Howard.
Oh
my goodness, Howard! What can we say about him?
Oh my gosh,
Mr. NASA man.
Everything, but it's like that. Those first couple episodes, because I think we're up to episode 3 or 4 now of the beginning. The way that it's constructed is, and it's similar to what Cheers does or Cheers did. Is you had established characters, but then you had a new character come into play. So in Cheers, it was Sam Malone and all the regulars, right? And they had been, and Carla, and they had been at the bar for years, and this was the thing. And then, Diane Chambers rolls in one day.
That's true.
And it's her professor. She's gonna elope with him, and he's like, okay, well, I gotta go say bye to Barbara. I gotta go say bye one more time. She's like, okay, I'll be here. And as an audience, you're going, is he coming back? Is he coming back? And he leaves. And he doesn't come back. And so Diane Chambers now is the outsider. She has nowhere to go. And so she has to then take a job at the bar. So when you take that concept and then you look, you basically take that and you look at the Big Bang Theory. You have, I can't remember all their names. You've got Sheldon. Who else you got?
So you got Sheldon, and then you have oh my goodness, Penny.
Yep. Well, Penny's the new one.
Yeah. Penny.
So the established crew is Sheldon. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look this up on the internet.
Oh my goodness, what are their names? Norman? No, it's
not Norman.
What in the world is his name? Leo? No. What is his name?
I don't know. It's more fun to hear you try.
He wears glasses.
Leonard.
There we go. That's Leonard.
Okay, so let's see. We've
Leonard,
got
Howard.
So we've got Sheldon, got Leonard, Howard, and then you have Raj.
Raj, yeah.
And then that's all you have in season 1.
Yep, it is.
So you have this group of guys who work at the university.
Yep.
And they all work together. And Sheldon and
3 of them are doctors.
3 of them are doctors. Leonard and Sheldon live together.
Yep.
In an apartment.
Which is interesting.
The elevator is never fixed. It's always broken.
Oh, it's always.
So they have to walk up the stairs.
You'll see why it's broken later.
I am delighted. I'm excited to find out.
It's interesting.
So there's that. So then you have the new girl moves in.
Yep.
And in any television show, at least the good television shows, that's how you tell a story. Because you could do the lazy thing where you have each character just kind of introduce themselves in a way and show who they are, and then you just move on.
Exactly.
But the Big Bang Theory doesn't do that, and Cheers doesn't do that either.
No, they don't.
You bring in Penny, the new character, and you say, okay, now she's in play. I'm guessing this is what happens in a writer's room because I'm a writer, and you put the character in and you go, okay, she shows up. What are the other 4 going to do? How do they react to her? And so then they come up with a way. So Leonard just kind of looks at her and goes, okay, whatever. I don't know. Leonard likes her. Sheldon thinks whatever. She needs
whatever
to leave.
we don't know what he thinks.
She's sitting on my place on the couch. She can't do that. That's not right.
That's my spot.
Right. Howard is kind of like the sleaze bag, like ladies man. Like he's like, hey, he's like the Joey Tribbiani from. He's like, how you doing? Except he's not like that. And then you have Raj, who can't talk to women. He can't do it. Like
he whispers in somebody else's
Penny just looked at me and goes, And so, but each of them has a very different reaction to her. And the stories that come out of those interactions, that's where the magic happens.
It's beautiful.
Because,
it's beautiful again.
Right, yeah. So, because you see Leonard and you see how he starts to really fall in love with her.
He does.
But then Sheldon is kind of the spoiler, but he doesn't know he's a spoiler because he's on the spectrum. And so he's like doing these, like at one point he's breaking into her apartment to help clean the apartment up.
Oh, yeah, that was.
But they lean
funny.
into that because the characters then have to react and they have to figure out how to move forward. And they have to, like, it's just, there's so much going going on, and you keep you have to watch and listen, because it's not a show where you just put it on the background.
You pay attention.
You got to pay attention. Same thing with Cheers. Same thing with Frasier. The shows they make you pay attention with those masterful storytellings. But you were talking about the laughs. They're just like,
they're spot on, man.
It's
it's all the time.
Yeah. So far, nothing hasn't landed for me when I've watched the show.
And I think me and my wife are up to season 8.
Okay.
So you've gone
the distance. Okay. Yeah, because we get Mayim Blalock.
Yep.
She comes in as Amy Farrah Fowler. She becomes the love interest for Sheldon.
Yep.
And then Melissa or Bernadette Ross. She comes in for. Does she come in for Howard? She comes in for Howard.
Yep.
And so it's.
I can spoil it if you want.
No, please don't. Spoil. I mean, even the show's been out for years. We're trying to kind of go on that journey on our own.
So good.
But it's like, I've seen clips of the later episodes, seasons, and it is absolutely fantastic.
It's still good.
Yeah, it stands up. The show doesn't lose its power the more time goes on. A show that does lose, if we can take a short detour though, is 2.5 Men. That show is trash.
Oh, that's probably why I've never watched it.
Don't. It's not. So it's back. It was Charlie Sheen's show with him and I think it was Jim Parsons, actually.
Was it?
I think it might have been Jim Parsons. I think Jim Parsons was also on 2.5 Men, to be honest with you.
He is very talented, man.
Yeah,
very talented.
Yeah, he is. Because it was hold on, let me do my 2.5 Men.
Sidetrack.
No, John Cryer. Gosh dang it, I'm getting my guys mixed up. So it was John Cryer and Charlie Sheen. And then Charlie Sheen's issues came around, and they brought in Ashton Kutcher to replace him. And then
that's why I remember he was in that one.
Yeah, the show didn't really last much. And the show was weird it was a bit too much of like sleazy. It just didn't feel like
sleazy.
There were
that's
like,
bad.
but not like really out, like just it wasn't clean. It was very like trading on double entendres and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, now looking at the show through the now 2023 lens of Charlie Sheen and a lot of what was reported on behind the scenes of how John Cryer, didn't get along sometimes. So it really makes that show less than what I wanted to watch. But yeah, it's the good television is the stuff that you got to find.
It's hard to find.
Yeah, but
it is really difficult.
Yeah, it is. But in that regard, so anything else on Big Bang Theory for you?
It's interesting to me how Jim Parsons, how he can learn all the things that he learned in the dialogue. Because, I mean, there's one thing to just say those things.
Right.
It's another thing to make you believe it.
Yeah.
That's something special.
Yeah.
And he made me believe it.
Yeah, Jim Parsons is Sheldon Cooper.
He is Sheldon Cooper.
It is. There's no question asked.
Yep.
John Cryer. I mean, it is not John Cryer. Sorry. Good grief, my brain. It's not working.
Whatever his name is.
Whatever his name is. He has a name. We should honor it. Jim Parsons. So yeah, Jim Parsons is legit. Like he's an incredible actor.
He's very good.
I mean, they're all incredible actors. That show. I think the success of that show. It's in the same vein as like a Friends or a Cheers or a Frasier because it stands up. You're able to watch that show again with your kids or with other people, and there's no like, oh, this is going to be embarrassing. Oh, this is cringe. Oh, I don't know about this. It's like, no, this is good. This is good television. This is worth revisiting and worth engaging with and keeping in the modern kind of zeitgeist, if you will, to kind of keep it in conversation and keep it in stuff like that.
But it's like that. If you watch this show in particular, it's sort of like they took all of each character individually and they're holding up a deck. If one of those fall, the whole thing fails.
Yeah.
But they all did their part extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
Each piece of this show is each person. There is not one person that makes the show.
I'm trying to remember what the show has a group of people. What is this? Hold on, I gotta figure out. There's a word. Different types of toe. The word is there. It's in my head. So it's a show with a bunch of people.
Collective.
It's not collective. It's not collaborative. Oh, the word is there. What kind of a show focuses this is the funny thing about like being focused on a group. Meaning, it's like this is hilarious. The podcast listeners are gonna be like, they're probably just gonna be screaming it at us. No, I don't want focused on a group. Let's try this on a group. It's not gonna get there. I know the name for it.
Yeah, I don't think I know it.
It's right there. It's what kind of a show?
Probably heard the word, I'm sure.
Focuses. This is gonna be hilarious. I guarantee you we're gonna get yelled at. Focuses on
That's okay.
Group. What kind of a show focuses on a group? Ensemble. There it is.
That's a good word. There we go. Ensemble.
That took us so long to get there. So, like, but those shows are all ensembles. Like you're saying, that stack of cards. Yeah. You pull out a Leonard out of that show,
it falls apart.
Sheldon has no one to react to. Sheldon has no one to
his roommate's gone.
Right. There's no one to spar. He's just going to be talking to the air. But the beauty is both of those characters are so uniquely written that they're so different. You know, Leonard is not Leonard. Sorry. Jeez, I got to keep going back to my screen. This is fantastic. Sheldon is very much on the spectrum, obviously, but you have Leonard who is so insecure and so not sure of himself.
That's right.
And he's smart, but he's not smart enough to be as blunt as, say, a Sheldon. And so they complement each other. That ensemble
perfectly.
Right. They fit. Yeah. They built those characters and said, okay, well, how? And they didn't just do it like on the surface. They really went long and said, okay, how can we continue to have this ensemble function where it's not going to be just, okay, the episode starts and everything's great. We have to start with the problem. It's every ensemble show. Star Trek Next Generation was an ensemble show.
It was.
We'll talk about Picard in a second, but Picard season 1 and 2 is okay, but its ensemble was weak. Its ensemble was not great. Yep. Discovery was not an ensemble show. Nope. Star Trek Discovery was focused around one or two people as the saviors of the world, and it didn't lean into that ensemble content and the idea. And the reason why Picard season 3, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is so successful right now, people are loving it, is because it brought back the ensemble focus. And the ensemble, like an ensemble show, if you have characters that work and function, it's there's power in that. And almost to the point, I would say there's beauty in that.
Beauty.
So
there's beauty in everything.
We're throwing that beautiful word around a lot.
Except Discovery.
Yeah. So I will probably hate watch Discovery at some point in my life because I just need to get through it and say that I did, even though I've watched plenty of clips and I just was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talk about Picard season 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like Patrick Stewart a lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
Yeah. And well, he is Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek TV series and the movies.
Yep.
So what happened with Picard season 1 and 2 is it was an ensemble, but it wasn't a well written or a well structured ensemble.
Yep.
And so what the producers realized is they said, okay, look, we're getting beat up. The show isn't doing well. People they're poking holes in our they're mad because we're not doing a really good job. And so the decision, I feel, this is an I feel statement, I know nothing about this, but I feel like the bringing back the original crew was like, okay, because here's the deal. We talked about this a little bit earlier and even off the air, is you bring in a Riker, you bring in a LaForge, you bring in Deanna Troi, you bring in Crusher.
Oh, yeah.
They all have at least 15 years of mythology behind them in the movies and the TV series.
They do.
So you have to follow those characters' pasts, and you have to write them as if they've aged a little bit but are still the same at their core.
Because they have all this background experience behind them.
Yep. And the stories and the interactions.
Exactly.
And so what we get with Picard season 3 is the first 4 episodes, and I, again, am using this word, and hopefully I won't have to eat my hat when the rest of the series episodes come out. It is masterful. Ooh. It is some of the best television, Star Trek television. And I know there's some holes, and I readily accept that there's some pieces and parts.
There always will be.
But at its considering what we've had in the past, this is Star Trek television.
Yeah.
This is absolutely there's musical cues that they do to kind of manipulate us, and I recognize that that's happening. Like they'll use themes from previous episodes of Next Generation, or they'll use stuff from the movies. Yeah. But I'm okay, and I realize I'm being manipulated. I accept this. Mm-hmm. But at its core, this movie is just This show is so far up to episode 4 is straight fire. It is a masterful storytelling right now.
Straight
Well,
fire.
okay, I shouldn't say that. There's a little bit of a fire extinguisher that appears on the screen every so often. It's the character of Raffi, and she's from season 1 and 2. She's played by Michelle Hurd. Michelle Hurd is a fantastic actress.
Yep.
She's longtime Law and Order. She's been in a lot of she has a really solid acting acumen. I'm not mad at Michelle Hurd for this at all. Please hear me.
It's the writer's
I'm
fault.
not. Yeah, the writers have put her in a place where it's just like, okay, anybody could tell this story. Why do we need... Like, she's the only character really from the other 2 seasons that has continued on. And I maybe continuity, but you could have had somebody else from the Next Generation to pick it up. And just because of how Raffi is written, it's just kind of... It's the one letdown moment of the episodes is when Raffi's back on screen. However, spoiler alert, and be aware, there's going to be some spoilers in here that I'm going to talk about. Worf returns. They're all coming back, but Worf has come back in the last 2 episodes 3 and 4.
Oh my goodness!
And the way he comes back is fantastic. It is absolutely pitch perfect. I'm just over the moon that he's back in uniform and he's back doing his thing. But he is working with Raffi, and I like that they've paired him with Raffi's character with Michelle Hurd's character because it does add a little bit of a balance. It does kind of strengthen that storyline. I'm still kind of not thrilled with it. It's not that joy altogether. So anyway, that's what it is.
But at least it's improved.
It's improved. Oh my gosh, leaps and bounds at this point.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because it's good television, and you don't know really what's coming. Like your people are guessing every episode. At the end of every episode so far, 4 episodes in, people have been guessing. Okay, what's the big bad? What's the big bad? What's the big bad? The big bad was finally revealed in episode 3. And people were just like, oh, what? And so episode 4 revealed a little bit more, and they finally escaped the nebula. Spoiler alert, they got away. But it's really been, and what's concerning is we've only got 6 episodes left. We got a lot of story to tell in 6 episodes, and so there's concern that we've slow burned a little too much.
Yeah.
We could have probably lost a good 30 minutes in there somewhere to kind of tighten. I think if we had abandoned the Raffi and Worf storyline, we would have tightened it up a little bit more. And in some TV shows, sometimes they have these moments where you're all like in movies where there's some downtime where you're kind of given a chance to breathe and relax and kind of just settle down and watch what's going on. And the story moves, but not at such a breakneck pace that you're just like, So maybe that was the design here, but it doesn't feel like it's necessary. It feels like we've got an additional string in there just because they needed to do that. And it's, again, no fault on Michelle Hurd. She's a fantastic actress. I think it feels shoehorned in there to have Worf be her handler, and there's just some things in there that are, but it's again comparatively and even looking at Next Generation episodes, it is really good. 4 episodes in, and I'm just like, all right, bring me that next one. Bring me the horizon, as Captain Jack Sparrow would say.
This Picard could have been a great.
Oh man,
it's Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
man. How can they jack that
season
up?
1 and 2 could have been, and the universe. Like I'm a member of a Star Trek writing club where we write stories and stuff online. It's really cool. BravoFleet.com if you're at all interested out there. They're really legit. They got a lot of cool stuff. They have games, competitions. It's a crazy, awesome group of people. I really have enjoyed getting to work with them over the last year, and writing and RPG writing and just incredible stuff that they do. Anyway, so a lot of the universal agreement has been in the chatting Discord server has been, seasons 1 and 2 of Picard were just, not good.
Hammered, just not.
Yeah, just disappointing. Like they were just like, there was so much potential. You could have done so much, but you couldn't figure it out.
I didn't like it. I watched maybe 3 episodes and I didn't like it.
You tapped out.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
it
was the same.
Weird.
It was the same with me with Willow. Like I tapped out after an episode and a half or 2. I was like,
That's
I'm out.
Bad.
I'm done. Peace out.
Bad.
But I think that's the power of when you really sit down and put on your big writer pants or whatever, like your big person pants, and you say, okay, it's time to be an adult writer and an adult series with adult conversations about adult stuff and none of this YA junk or this Marvel quippiness. Let's actually tell a story.
Let's do it.
And at some point, if you watch it, we might do an episode by episode reaction. We'll be late to the party as we usually are, but it'd be kind of cool to sit down as episode by episode and kind of do, okay, let's talk about episode 1. What did we think? How do we feel? What are our big moments? And we might do that in future episodes if you're interested.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Check out season 3. I would say watch it's up to episode 4 now, so take your time. But yeah, episodes 1 through 4 have just been really great, and we still have yet to meet Moriarty from the original series, Next Generation, the holographic antagonist. We haven't seen LaForge yet.
Oh, that's going to be.
We haven't run into Data or Lore or whatever character Brett Spiner's playing.
Data.
We haven't. We're still missing a couple of key players in the mix, and so we'll see where that heads. We'll see what happens.
I hope I don't ruin it.
My
man.
fingers, literally everyone's fingers are crossed at this point because they're like, this is not it's not like award winning, like Oscar award winning, but it's up there. It's closing in on it because the stories they're telling are really substantial and really have weight to them. And people are very curious to see where that weight ends up falling and what we're gonna see with the show.
They must have got really butchered, man. Like beat to death.
I think. Well, here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Here's what happened. So, Strange New Worlds came out.
Yep.
And Strange New Worlds was people were pinning their hopes on Strange New Worlds because like, okay, we're gonna tell the Pike story. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna make it. And people were worried. I was worried. I was like, okay, come on, you guys, you got to get this right. And a couple of episodes are hit or miss for me. And other people say they're the best episodes ever. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. That's the beauty of the viewer, right?
It was all right.
Yeah. Like, oh, you can watch it and go, okay, well, cool. But whatever. But most of it, 90% of the episodes, maybe 85% of the episodes of Strange New Worlds, legit. Like, this is a Star Trek story. You are telling a Star Trek story that has weight. It has moments. It has character moments. And the show, again, is an ensemble show. They have all the characters engaged. I mean, Anson Mount is Captain Pike, and he's in charge. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there's good stuff here. He does use the crew as a sounding board. He works with them. He engages with them. He talks with them. It's not just he's there to save the world. And that's the same thing with Picard. Jean-Luc Picard was never a James T. Kirk running and gunning it. No. He was like, we need to think. What do you think, Geordi? What is your, number one? What is your advice? Deanna, what do you sense? What do you feel? Worf, what is your advice? Data, what do your scans tell us?
That's what a leader does.
Right. He collaborates. It's an ensemble organization. And that's what I love about Star Trek is that it's an ensemble story, but I think at its core, and maybe people can disagree with me. That's okay. That's the beauty of the internet. I think Star Trek at its core is an ensemble show.
It is. It has to be.
Yeah.
You have a deck full of people.
Yeah.
You have a spaceship.
Yep. And you need to tell those stories intertwined with each other.
Yep.
And tell them well and tell them smartly. Okay.
I agree with that one.
There we go. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Lock and Key.
Oh yeah. Did we talk about that already though?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did. We talked about Lock and Key. Lock and Co. We talked. Oh, Lock. You're talking about Lock and Key.
Yeah.
Okay, talk me through that because that. Yeah, sorry. We did Lockwood and Co. Yeah. So Lock and Key. I struggled with that first season.
Okay.
That first couple episodes.
Yeah. The first episodes were kind of slow.
Yeah.
I've only seen about 5 episodes.
Okay.
But man, the way that the story captivated me because they have these people with keyholes in their necks, and I was like,
okay,
what in the world? Just that part of it fascinated me, and I said, you know what, let's try it.
Okay.
So we got through 5 episodes, and I love it.
Okay.
I just hadn't watched it anymore because I was watching something else, and I have other stuff I'm doing too.
Okay, so that makes I may have to get back into it, but yeah, I watched the first couple episodes, and I was just like, what is happening here? What is the story?
It was weird.
What is the point of this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to give it another try. With most shows, I give it like at most maybe 4 to 5 episodes, and that really pushes it.
That's pushing it, yeah.
Because this is the thing. There's a bunch of shows out there that people are like, oh, well, you just need to make it through the first season. And my response always, reflex is, if your show if I have to make it through 12 or 24 episodes before I can really get going, that's not a good show. Oh, well, it picks up in the second season. Well, then why wasn't the second season the first season?
Exactly.
Why did you have to do all of that work to get to the good stuff? Like, if you're a good writer, if you're a good producer, if you're a good director, if you're a good show, I don't need to slog through 5 to 6 episodes to get to what you got. Either you got a good show or you don't.
That's a fact.
And you gotta know what you're doing. There is so many streaming services out there. There is so much product out there.
Tons of them.
It is overwhelming. And if your product, if I hit episode 4, I'm just like, I don't care.
I'm done.
Get me out of here. Yeah. I'm done. I'm like, I'll go watch something else that's good.
Yeah.
And you've lost me, and I'm not coming back. Mm-hmm. And no matter, and like, the show is Schitt's Creek is a big show. They tell you,
yeah.
that first season, just get through that first season, and it gets really good. And I'm just like, yeah, but no,
I'm not doing that.
I don't. And it's funny, like people used to. I think I'm surely they sure do. They still do. But people used to get in Twitter spats about this. Well, you just need to watch it and people rightfully responded and said, I don't have to watch anything.
Nope.
Like if I don't get
I'm
it,
paying for it. I don't
right?
have to do nothing.
If I'm 3 episodes in and I don't like it, I'm not going to try and give it another chance and waste another 45 minutes to an hour of my life. Why would I do that? I got other things to do. I got bigger, more exciting shows to consume. I got movies I want to go watch. I got books I want to read. I'm not going to like try and give 45 minutes more of my life to you because you couldn't get a good writer or a good consultant to get this and that sounds really mean, and I apologize to those of you out there who are producers and creators and writers if it sounds but as a consumer I have a lot of things I can choose from. And if you have created something that is hard to get into at the beginning, like, okay, 1 episode I'll forgive you, cool, done. I'll get in, I'll put up with another episode 2 picks up speed, okay, cool, we're good, we're on it. But if it takes me 4 or 5 episodes,
a season,
if it takes me under like half a season to get or more,
that's not.
No,
your show is bad.
I don't want to. And okay, it picks up in season 2. Cool. Then I just won't watch season 1. Well, season 1. No,
I ain't doing it.
I can't. Nope. I'm not slogging through the backstory and the whatever.
They need to stop wasting our time.
So like the show, there's a show out there. It only ran for 3 seasons.
That's bad.
Well, no, but it was good. It got canceled for various reasons. It was a show called Dark Matter. And Dark Matter was great show. Only went for 3 seasons. They had planned for another, but they got canceled. I think it was a Netflix thing, or it was too much expensive, or whatever. I don't even know. But like that show, those first 2 episodes were kind of a little wobbly. I think if I remember correctly, maybe the first episode, but it started to pick up speed because they did that first episode setup. And then, boom, they were off.
Build the foundation.
Yeah. The Expanse, same story. Expanse is a great show. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
That first couple of episodes is just like, what is happening? What is going on?
Yeah.
And it hauls. That show is just punching its way through. It came to an end. I think their last season was season 5 or 6. And it was
pretty good.
It was. I was very impressed with the story they told. All things considered. I think they had to really rush the ending because they were given only 1 more season, I think, which is what happens on a lot of these shows. But it's really well done, and I really liked it. And I was like, okay, The Expanse, that'll be a show I come back to because you go back to these shows, like I said, you watch them again, they enjoy them. So
yeah.
But Lockwood, what is it called?
Lock and Key, I believe.
So you're 5 episodes in,
something like that. Yeah, okay. And it's been a while since I've watched it, so I can't remember all the details.
Okay.
Because I've watched a lot of other stuff since then. I got into The Big Bang Theory, and that's just show.
That swallows a lot of your time.
Yeah, that show blows my mind, man. That's a good show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know, and I think that I don't know what I'm going to watch next. I really don't. Maybe I'll try Picard again. But
okay, do Picard season 3. Don't even try season 1 or 2.
Oh, okay.
Just don't even try it. Just don't even.
Just go straight to season.
Go to season 3. Okay. Start season 3 and just enjoy. Because literally there is nothing from season 1 or 2 that you really need to know about. Raffi's the only character that continues. They got rid of the rest of them. There are some moments in that first episode where they have the characters that were with Picard at his chateau, but they are left behind as Picard goes into action. So season 3, I think, is where you can start with that show. I think most people would tell you don't even bother with season 1 and 2. Yeah. It's just not worth your time. It's unfortunate because I'm sure there's a bank of writers who produced all that, but it's like
sad.
It's not good. Something went wrong in the production process. The machines were not at full speed or something.
Calibrated properly.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, there was calibration mishaps. Something happened, and the writing just didn't succeed or land.
But how many shows does that happen in?
A lot.
Yeah, it's like that. I think Frasier's one of my favorite shows because it's like Cheers. It's like all those shows where the foundation is built very well, and everything hinges on that foundation.
Yep.
It's built on it.
It is, absolutely.
And I think that's storytelling is that way.
Yeah. So I've talked about the show 1899 before.
Oh, yeah.
It just makes me so angry.
So angry. Yeah.
But it's like there was so much potential with that.
Yeah.
Like give it the proper storytelling and don't try and jerk me around or try and slow burn it. Like people were shocked that it wasn't going to get a season 2. They got canceled. And I was like, I could have told you that in a minute. It wasn't going to make a season 2. I was halfway through the show. And I was like, this can't continue. How many more episodes I've got? We need to cut at least 2 of these episodes out.
Burn it now.
Burn it. Like do some cut and cut. Like give it a haircut, man. Give it a buzz if you got it. I don't care. Something's got to go here.
But it's like when I edit videos,
yeah,
I see the same thing. Like I'll see there's a word that's a little out of place or something. I cut it out right there.
Yep.
But they don't do that. They'll leave all that crap in, and then it ends up being like garbage. It's just
well, and it's also the right issue of writing and
what
story are you trying to tell? And I think that's something like I'm not great at it still. I'm still learning, but what they tell you is whatever you put on screen needs to move the story forward.
It does.
If it doesn't move the story forward in a critical fashion, don't shoot it. Don't write it. Yep. Get rid of it. Cut it.
Yep.
And tighten up your show. Tighten up your scene. Tighten up your movie, your short film, so that there is no kind of excess fat that gets left in.
That's exactly right.
Because then you're going to think, oh, I've got a 45-minute movie. Well, then when someone comes in and says, okay, cut this, you're down to a 15-minute film. And you're like, but wait, there was this but that did nothing for the film. It did nothing for the plot. You just threw it in there to throw it in there. You
made it weighty.
Yeah, you weighed it down. It needs to be able to move. It needs to be able to run. It needs to be able to move. It can't be a fat cat. It's got to be a greyhound. It's got to be able to go and move.
But I have noticed the ones that I've edited that have got the most views, or the longest view time, are the ones where I cut out like the spaces of pause, or taking a breath, or thinking about something. Yeah, because I do not write scripts.
Right. No, neither do I. I don't either.
It's off the dome, right there on the spot. Yeah. I don't. Whatever you see is the first take.
Well, I think when people are watching videos, they're looking for give me the condensed version, give me the long and the short, real quick. Like, let's get to the point. Yeah, they're not going to sit there and wait for you to go. Like when we were searching for ensemble cast, I'm sure some people were just like, oh my gosh, I'm clicking out of here.
Y'all hurry up.
If could you move quickly? But I think that's the point is that whatever content we take in. We want it to be effective. We want it to be clear. We want it to be concise. We want our time to matter.
Exactly.
And if our time doesn't matter, if the creator, the writer, or whatever, if they're giving us stuff that shows that they don't respect the fact that we're giving of our time and our money in some cases on streaming services, well, we're naturally just gonna be like, well, you don't care about me. Yeah. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna go watch something. I'm gonna go watch something that's actually good. Yeah. And I think that's the same thing with YouTube videos. Is you've got to have the tightly produced content that people are able to quickly consume, but also be able to kind of get their hands around without having to wait for you to get through your ums and your ahs 15 different times in 3 minutes. When your 3-minute video could be like a minute and a half, and those views will go up because I can watch this minute and a half video and get the point and move right on with what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Which is interesting because podcasts are still as popular as ever, even though podcasts are longer these days. Which our podcast,
it's weird, huh?
we've hit our hours. We've hit our hour podcast, so we managed to pull that off. We checkmarked that one. Okay, I have nothing left to say.
I got nothing either.
We'll probably talk about games or some other stuff next week.
Yep.
My name is Aaron.
My name is Chris.
And this has been the County Gamers. We will see you on the next episode. You've been listening to the County Gamers Podcast, presented by Create at Morgan Productions, located in Fort Morgan, Colorado, USA. For more information on our production house, other podcasts that are hosted here, and further details, please visit www.createatmorgan.org. You can find us on Twitter at the handle CreateAtMorgan. Create at Morgan is a school club at Lincoln High School, our alternative education campus here in Morgan County. Our sponsor is Aaron DeLay, the language arts teacher at Lincoln. Send any feedback to adelayedteacher@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to our podcast.